Today we're driving the 2024 Nissan Altima. This is the SL all-wheel drive. MSRP on this trim is around $34,000. As tested, this is 37 grand. However, you can get into a Nissan Altima for as little as about $26,000 for the base trim. So this has a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated inline four-cylinder. It makes 182 horsepower, 178 pound-feet of torque. That's mated to a continuously variable transmission, as you would expect with a Nissan. And we've actually got a pretty nice looking interior and exterior with this Nissan Altima. Let's start on the outside. We'll walk you around it and talk about what it's been like to live with this week. This SL all-wheel drive rides on 19-inch wheels, 235/40 R19s, hand cooks. Kind of a cool looking wheel design in my opinion. The Altima was refreshed for the 2023 model year. I think it looks quite good. It's a reasonably attractive looking mid-size sedan. Very fuel efficient. 36 miles to the gallon on the highway, 26 in the city. Spacious, comfortable. Let's take a look at the trunk. Excuse some of my photo equipment in the back here. Spare tire, toolkit, jack, all good things. Massive opening here. A lot of trunk space in this Altima. You can fold down those rear seats with two levers right here. That's very convenient. And just, again, a ton of room in the back. Fortunately, no grab handle here for the trunk. You have to touch the paint. That's okay. Here's a quick look at that optional rear spoiler on this test car. Let's take a look in the back seat here. I'm 5'10", sat behind my driving position. I have plenty of legroom. We have kind of stadium seating in this Nissan Altima, like we do in a lot of Nissan products. I have limited headroom, about an inch above my head, but these seats are nice and comfortable. We get two USB ports back here, vents. Here's our armrest and cup holders. Really like this interior, very easy to use. Lots of physical controls and buttons, and everything's placed just about where you would expect it to be. Very quiet 2.5 liter naturally aspirated inline four-cylinder. Paired with the CVT, doesn't seem to rev out too high on normal driving. It's a nice powertrain. No major complaints about it this week. It's just a little bit sluggish, but with only 182 horsepower and an all-wheel drive car, you do get some drivetrain loss with the all-wheel drive system, and you can expect a little bit less acceleration with a package like this. That said though, for most drivers, this is going to have plenty of power with 182 horsepower, and it's going to be a very efficient package. All right, let's quickly go over the interior and then we'll take this for a drive. So, new infotainment for 2023. I actually quite like this design. Feels like this is finally a modern looking infotainment for Nissan. It's reasonably responsive, pretty quick operation here. Oops. I like that we get these constant icons here for Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. You can wirelessly connect. I have a wired connection today. And everything seems to work about how it should. Volume knobs, adjustments here for brightness, quick access camera view button. Reverse camera is kind of disappointing in this Altima. Looks like something from the 2000s. You can change a couple different views, which is nice. But yeah, it's overexposed. It's not very sharp. Super wide angle. It does have moving object detection. That's what that MOD is in the corner. So if something's moving around behind you, it'll beep and notify you. Everything is just placed so well in this cabin. Parking brake right down here. Got dials here for your climate and temperature adjustments. Heated steering wheel, heated seats, which will just roast your bum and hands, which is great. Wireless charging's right here. Over to the left, we've got buttons and switchgear to adjust our interior brightness, pop the trunk, trip, and then our steering assist. Only one auto up-down window for the driver. The rest you have to hold. Analog tach and speedometer, which is nice to see, with a little digital screen here in the middle. We can see our driving assistance. We You can go in and change various vehicle settings here. Don't know if this car has any drive modes. We have a traction control setting we can turn on and off. But we've got a few other screens here. We can see our music, our direction with a compass, trip, fuel economy, and our speed. Here's our moonroof. Nice operation there. Place to put your sunglasses. These slide. It even says sliding visor. Okay, let's go take the Nissan Altima SL all-wheel drive on the road and see what it's like behind the wheel. This week I found this to be a pretty nice car to live with. Super easy to get in, go, drive. Interior layout is just fantastic. I really do have to give Nissan credit for sticking with physical buttons and controls and not going all touchscreen haptic madness on us. The only complaint I have about this Nissan Altima is that the turn signal, to my ear, just sounds a little bit too loud. It's kind of abrasive. I don't know, is this why Nissan Altima drivers are all a little bit unhinged? Is it the turn signal slowly driving them insane? Could be my hot take. Otherwise, this drives very nicely. Steering is light. All-wheel drive system seems to put its power down well enough. It's just a little bit sluggish off the line, and it also will simulate gear shifts, which is kind of nice because it's not always just whirring away at the same constant RPM. It does vary the sounds you get from this 2.5 liter 4-cylinder a little bit, and that is kind of a nice thing. Ride quality is great. This car is actually surprisingly quiet at speed on the highway. We'll listen to that here in a minute. Not a lot of NVH over bumps, even with these 19-inch wheels. Only other note is I'm just getting some interior creaks and rattles from this display area here from the dashboard. They seem to work themselves out after a few minutes of driving, but still it has been a mild annoyance this week. I do like the placement of this screen. It's easily within reach and pretty much within eyesight too. When just driven around casually, this Nissan Altima is very nice. Barely hear this engine at speed. It just kind of stays under 2,500 RPM. It is very fuel efficient. I've averaged about 31 miles to the gallon all week in it. It doesn't love to be hustled. A little bit of safe understeer at the limit. A hint of steering feel. And it just never quite comes on power. But that's okay. Not every car needs to be super fast. At least this is comfortable and very fuel efficient. If you want a little bit more power, I would swing for the Nissan Altima with a VC turbo. However, in my past experience, I've noticed that Nissan has kind of struggled with the throttle tuning on their turbocharged engines and their CVTs. This is actually very good, this naturally aspirated 2.5 liter. Throttle tuning is very linear, progressive. The CVT does a great job finding the right RPM at the right time. It's all very smooth, comfortable. It's actually very nice to drive. So I'm kind of surprised at how well sorted and how well calibrated everything is in this new Altima. 80 miles an hour on the highway. Pretty quiet at speed too. Love the cruise control system in this car. I've been using this pretty regularly all week. Negotiates traffic situations well. The steering assist isn't the best. Even just cruising on the highway, resting your hand on the wheel, it will prompt you a little bit more often than it should to put your hand on the wheel, even though it's already on the wheel. So I've been leaving that system off for the most part all week. But the adaptive cruise has worked great. It keeps a good following distance from the car in front of you. I don't feel like I'm holding up traffic. It'll start to accelerate as soon as you put your turn signal on to pass the slower vehicle. Handling with this Nissan Altima is about average, nothing special. It gets the job done, but it's not as sporty as something like the Honda Accord or the Toyota Camry. No stop-start function here at traffic lights. It's just all very straightforward and a basic driving experience. Almost a breath of fresh air getting into this car after having driven so many overly complicated vehicles recently. There we go. If you really give it the beans off the line, it'll forget about its fake shifts and just give you power, but still it never quite comes on power as much as I would like it to. Let's go in and test out this Bose sound system. We have a volume knob right here. Nice volume buttons on the steering wheel. Sounds pretty good. You'll notice that this engine just kind of idles along in normal traffic. It barely crests 2,000 RPM when you're just accelerating casually. It's kind of nice. It's a very smooth driving experience. I do like the placement of Nissan's blind spot monitoring light. It's just right here. A little bit more within your view. It's not all the way out in the mirror. You can quickly see if someone's in your blind spot without having to turn over your shoulder, and it just kind of gives you a little bit better awareness of everything around you. Audi does that as well, and it's a good placement for that light. Alright guys, well those are some thoughts on the new 2024 Nissan Altima SL all-wheel drive. I'm not entirely convinced that all-wheel drive is necessary in a car like this. It's definitely gives you a little bit more driving confidence. It's going to give you a little bit more accelerative traction in the winter. Is that a word? Is that a term? I think it is. But ultimately, I would just get a front-wheel drive Nissan Altima and throw some winter tires on there if you live anywhere where there is snow, because this all-wheel drive system definitely feels like it's robbing some power out of the drivetrain. We're getting some drivetrain loss here from this 2.5 liter naturally aspirated engine. It is surprisingly efficient for being all-wheel drive and being a mid-sized sedan, but it does add some cost, does add some weight, and some mechanical complexity that I'm not sure I would be willing to live with long-term. The front-wheel drive Altima should do the trick. But that said, if you really, really want something that's all-wheel drive for that extra solidity and driving confidence, Nissan offers it here with the SL all-wheel drive for about $34,000 without any options. Couple minor complaints, things I wish Nissan would improve. They could soften the turn signal just a little bit. Definitely could see a better reverse and 360 camera in this car. The 360 camera is fine. The reverse camera just has way too much distortion to it. But otherwise, a pretty nice package here, and not any major complaints. I think, you know, if you don't really need a bunch of power out of your car, you're not a very aggressive driver, you don't need to channel high levels of Altima energy, then this 182 horsepower should be sufficient for your needs. But if you do have strong Altima energy, you should probably swing for the VC Turbo, and that way you can, you know, do your thing through traffic and cause chaos and mayhem in your Nissan Altima. But this is for the more, I think, subdued and rational Altima buyer, this 2.5 naturally aspirated engine. So anyway, we'll leave you guys there. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Take care. Oh yeah, and same key we've had from Nissan for, gosh, probably decades at this point. Remote start, lock, unlock. Got a button to pop the trunk too. I like the feel of everything in here too. I mean, even steering wheel shape, nice flat bottom, leather on here, or whatever's on here, a synthetic leather, feels quite nice. All of your inputs, the buttons, everything feels high quality. Nissan is definitely doing some things right, especially with their interiors. They're just easy cars to live with and easy cars to use.